Well, yesterday we saw Sean Stryker put his body on the line to show you some of the effects of sleep deprivation.
Something that you did not get to see is the day after he did that story, he actually got sick. Well, in part 2 of that story, Sean tells us about a few things that you can do to make sure that you're getting enough sleep.
Some people are night owls while others are early birds. But whichever category you fall in, Linda Hurley, the director of the Sleep Center at Peninsula Regional Medical Center, says it's important to keep your sleep schedule as consistent as possible.
Your body has a circadian rhythm, it's about 24 hours and some change clock. And some people naturally want to go to bed earlier and get up earlier, and some people want to go to bed a little bit later and get up a little bit later, but everybody's body clock is about the same. And if you vary things too much, it's just very confusing to your body's clock. It's like jet lag. If you go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning on the weekends and get up at 11, Monday's going to be really hard. It's going to be like you just flew in from another time zone.
And if you find yourself going to bed at the same time every night but are having trouble falling asleep, there are a couple things you may be doing that are preventing you from getting some shut-eye.
One of the main things today is electronics, particularly with teenagers, but with everybody. I find that if I work late at night on the computer, it's 2 hours before I can fall asleep. If you are reading on your computer, on your tablet, it will keep you awake. It suppresses your melatonin. Evening, dim light naturally raises your melatonin, which is your body's natural sleep aid.
Obviously, drinking caffeine close to bed can keep you up, but did you know eating a big meal before going to sleep may also be keeping you up?
Because your body's busy digesting instead of sleeping, so you're not, even if you are sleeping, you're not getting the rest you need. It also tends to, if you lay down after a big meal, it also tends to cause some acid reflux.
Alcohol is another thing you might want to avoid before bed. Linda says while it may help you fall asleep, as it wears off, your blood sugar changes, which can cause you to wake up. But sometimes it's as simple as an active mind that's keeping you up.
It's interesting, one of the articles I read said it's not about collecting your thoughts, it's about addressing them and letting them go, and addressing and letting them go. And that sometimes, people tell me that it's the brain that keeps them awake sometimes. So if they can let the things go in their brain, or write them down, or let them go till the next day, it's much easier to go to sleep. Deep breathing works. It actually stimulates the vagal nerve that's at the base of your brain, and it physically slows your heart rate and your blood pressure. So if you breathe all the way in and all the way out very slowly, it helps you get to sleep.
Now, believe it or not, falling asleep isn't the only thing that matters when it comes to feeling rested. How you wake up also plays a role.
Light is very good. If there are alarm clocks that gradually add light to the room, so it will wake you up, it's like sunrise will wake you up. And that's particularly good for shift workers because it's fooling your brain into thinking that it's actually morning when it's really midnight.
And when setting any alarm, Linda says it's best to avoid that snooze button.
Don't use the snooze. Sleep, if you say, hey, I'll set my alarm for 6:30 because I really have to be out of bed at 7, better to get the good half hour in between and just get up when it goes off.
But what it really comes down to is making sure your body gets all the sleep it needs.
But getting enough sleep is the biggest key. So when you're waking up, you're not waking up in the middle of some really good sleep. And that will disorient you and make you feel not good.
Linda also says a good way to find out how much sleep you need is to go to bed without setting an alarm for a couple of nights in a row and see how long your body naturally sleeps.
You gonna try that tomorrow morning?
I can see me saying, oh, I should have been at work a couple hours ago.
So what about sleep aids? There are so many on the market, from natural ways to get some shut-eye to man-made products. Let's start with the natural remedies. Studies show lavender may do the trick. Sprinkle a few drops of lavender essential oil on a piece of tissue and tuck it under your pillow. Research shows the scent of lavender eases anxiety and insomnia. Melatonin is another natural product that many people turn to. In fact, some parents even give it to their children to help them fall asleep. They assume since it's natural, it should be fine. But the use of melatonin has raised some concern recently.
Melatonin has a lot of research behind it, but there's just as much showing that there's potential harm as with good.
In fact, studies show melatonin has generated more calls to poison control centers than any other supplement. Most involve children.
Now, there are also, as you well know, man-made sleep aids such as pills, over-the-counter remedies, and other medications. But you've got to be careful with them. According to helpguide.org, some of their side effects can make a problem even worse. For instance, Help Guide says in some cases they can make you more drowsy the next day, confused and forgetful. Over time, you may build a tolerance to sleep aids and may have to take more of them to work. Help Guide says you may also become dependent on sleeping pills and sleep worse without them. Withdrawal is possible too. You may experience nausea, sweating, and shaking if you stop taking the aids. Sleeping pills may also have adverse reactions with other medications. That can spell danger. And get this, Help Guide says sleeping pills may result in rebound insomnia, making your sleeping problem worse than it was before. There's also concern that sleeping pills will mask an underlying problem, maybe even a sleep disorder, and won't actually treat your insomnia. Basically, it comes down to this. Before taking anything, it's best to consult with your doctor.
Well, a great way to kickstart your health is to follow a healthy diet. Still ahead on Delmarva Life, we're in the kitchen learning to make a healthy dessert. Almond milk panna cotta. Plus, we get plenty of ideas on what tastes great on top.
We are also learning to make a special mussels dish chock full of locally grown products, Sambuca blue cheese mussels.
Up next, we hear the story of one local woman who holds the distinction of being the oldest Girl Scout. Find out how she got involved in the organization and why she just can't give it up. Delmarva Life, we'll be right back.